confirmed number of new coronavirus cases reported in Los Angeles County in the last 24 hours is 1,054 with 11 additional deaths. Here in Torrance, 7 additional cases were reported with no new deaths. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Christine Lee filling in for Leslie Robbins. It's Monday, November 22nd. Anyone 18 and over in the U.S. can now get a COVID-19 booster shot. For those who got Pfizer or Moderna, that means 6 months after their second dose. And for those who got Johnson & Johnson, they can get their booster 2 months after their single shot. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention gave the final okay on Friday, and public health officials recommend everyone who is eligible to get a booster as soon as possible to ensure increased protection as we head into the colder months and join family and friends at holiday gatherings. Californians can use myturn.ca.gov to find a walk-in clinic or schedule an appointment. Boosters may be mixed and matched, and health officials ask everyone to bring their IDs and vaccination cards with them. More than 90% of federal workers are now partially vaccinated. President Joe Biden set a vaccine mandate deadline for the end of today. He announced in September that more than 3.5 million federal workers were required to get vaccinated unless they are approved for a medical or religious exemption. At last count, about 5% of federal employees applied for such exemptions. In all, more than 95% of federal workers are in compliance with the Biden mandate. Those who are not will begin a counseling process that could ultimately result in termination if they don't get a shot or secure an approved exemption. COVID-19 cases and deaths remain low for healthcare workers in LA County. 174 new cases were reported in the week ending on November 6th. As of November 18th, 46,919 healthcare workers and first responders tested positive for COVID-19. In total, 304 healthcare workers died from the coronavirus. Most deaths took place between July 2020 and February 2021. They were mostly among staff at skilled nursing facilities and hospitals. Healthcare workers are required to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19, and if they are approved for medical or religious exemptions, they must be tested weekly. Vaccination rates are set to be high at hospitals and other healthcare settings. 96% of staff members at skilled nursing facilities are reportedly fully vaccinated. The state and licensing divisions are responsible for overall compliance and are planning to have health facility inspectors make sure the health officer order is being followed. A record number of travelers passed through airports across the U.S. over the weekend, leading into the Thanksgiving holiday. On Friday and Saturday, TSA officers screened more than 2 million people each day at airport security checkpoints nationwide. That is the highest checkpoint volume since early 2020. Holiday travel is well underway at LAX as well, as 2 million people are expected to pass through the airport over the upcoming holiday. On Friday, LAX announced the opening of a $13.7 million bridge connecting Terminals 1 and 2. Passengers can now move freely between the terminals without having to be re-screened at a security checkpoint. Airport officials say as the busy travel season continues, arrive early. Pre-book a parking spot if you need to, and if you're flying on United at Terminal 7, reserve a time for a dedicated TSA line by going to flylax.com/fastlane. The airport's pilot program allows passengers to book a 15-minute window for instant access to screening. And as always, wear a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose when at the airport and inside your plane. Protests erupted across Europe as a result of newly imposed COVID-19 restrictions. Tens of thousands of people marched in Brussels, some throwing fireworks at police officers who intervened with tear gas and water cannons. Demonstrators were mainly opposed to the use of COVID-19 passes, which stops unvaccinated people from entering venues such as bars and restaurants. Several protests took place in the Netherlands as well in recent days, the latest against the new lockdown rules. On Saturday, people hurled fireworks at police and set fire to bicycles in The Hague, one night after protests in Rotterdam turned violent, leading police to fire gunshots. Austria, Croatia, and Italy also had thousands of demonstrators angry over new mandates that are meant to protect them. Officials with the World Health Organization had expressed how worried they were about the rising coronavirus cases on the continent. Regional Director Dr. Hans Kluge said unless measures were tightened across Europe, 500,000 more deaths could be recorded by next spring. He added that COVID-19 has become, once again, the #1 cause of mortality in their region, and the actions the governments were taking were necessary to fight the virus. As COVID-19 cases climb once again, even here in the U.S., a growing number of companies are telling their unvaccinated workers to either get the shot or pay more for health insurance. Delta Airlines was one of the first businesses to take such actions. Since the beginning of this month, unvaccinated workers now have to pay an additional $200 a month for their health insurance. Delta reps say each employee hospitalized with the virus cost them $50,000. Similar moves are now being made from a Utah grocery chain called Harmon's to banking giant JP Morgan Chase. In a September survey, the Society for Human Resource Management found less than 1% of organizations had raised health insurance premiums for unvaccinated workers. 13% considered doing so, and 20% of large companies were also looking into it. One employer, Mercy Health, is trying a different tactic. It introduced a risk pool fee. Since mid-October, unvaccinated employees had $60 deducted from their wages every month to go into this pool. The healthcare provider compared the fee to 16-year-old drivers having to pay more for auto insurance to cover the extra risks they present as new drivers. Since the policy was announced in September, the vaccination rate among the more than 7,000 employees jumped from 70 to 91%. CVS is closing 900 stores over the next 3 years. That's about 10% of its pharmacies. CVS is the largest drugstore chain in the U.S., and officials say changes in population, consumer buying patterns, and future health needs are some factors that led to this decision. CVS is expected to focus more heavily in healthcare. The company completed a $69 billion acquisition of Aetna, the largest healthcare deal in history, in 2018. That creates a customer base of about 40 million Americans. The drugstore chain has also been revamping its retail strategy and says its stores will have 3 distinct models: locations that offer primary care services, health hub stores with on-site dietitians, nurse practitioners, and lab services, as well as on-site treatment for chronic conditions such as asthma and diabetes, and traditional stores. Target will no longer open its doors on Thanksgiving Day. The big box retail chain is making the permanent change as the holiday shopping season kicks off. To limit crowds in stores last year due to the pandemic, retailers were forced to change their weekend shopping promotions and create extended events with holiday sales as early as October. This shift appeared to have been a good thing for businesses. U.S. holiday sales last November and December rose 8.2% in 2020 compared to the previous year. The National Retail Federation predicts 2021 could shatter that record, growing up to 10.5%. Target CEO Brian Cornell says what started as a temporary measure driven by the pandemic is now their new standard. Distribution and call centers will have some staff working on Thanksgiving, but stores will remain closed. Expect to pay more for Christmas trees this year. Several factors, including over-the-top sales last year and continued supply chain issues, are leading to the price increase. Experts say tree buyers should expect to pay between 10 and 30% more for both artificial and live Christmas trees, and they will also have a smaller selection to choose from. The Huntington Manor Fire Department sold out its trees in 48 hours last year in what is usually a week-long fundraising effort. This year, prices were raised about $5, the first time that has been done in a decade. The department had to pay higher prices to the farm in Pennsylvania that supplies the trees. Dart's Christmas Tree Farm in New York sold out of mature trees last year for the first time in 50 years. It also sold many that weren't mature yet, leaving the farm with fewer large trees this year. And shipments of artificial trees have been delayed in 2021 due to supply chain issues, including a shortage of truck drivers who are able to make deliveries. The American Christmas Tree Association officials say some major retailers have about 43% of their inventory right now, when it should be closer to 70%. They say this is not the year to find a tree last minute or to wait for a sale, so shoppers should plan ahead and buy early. The deadline has been extended for applications to see the Pasadena Tournament of Roses parade in person. The Torrance Rose Float Association is offering the opportunity to get a ride to Pasadena from Wilson Park and take part in the priceless event from a premium reserved seat. The bus departs on New Year's Day at 5 a.m. and returns around noon. Tickets are $130 per person. They need a final head count by November 30th, so be sure to sign up before the extended deadline. The website to sign up is torrancerosefloat.org/watch-the-parade. Well, before we go, at the end of each program, we like to share feel-good stories from our community. Pictures, images, and videos that remind us of how resilient our community is and how Torrance truly cares. A group of students at South High collected tens of thousands of canned goods for families in need.
This year we reached a record-breaking amount of 28,076 cans, and although it looks monstrous stacked in our classrooms, I don't think a lot of students realize how much this is going to help people. I think breaking our record from last year, I think it's going to help the people who need it most in our community, and I really hope to just make their Thanksgiving this year, kind of make things a little easier.
The students teamed up with neighboring elementary and middle school students, parents, and teachers to gather all of the donations. They came to school early and left late to sort through the items and pack them up. The school partnered with 4 different organizations across the South Bay, including El Camino College and the Salvation Army. Students say this was a huge community effort and hope they can break their record again next year. What a wonderful way to show how Torrance truly cares. Now, if you have a great story, upcoming event, photo, or video you'd like to share, email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. We'd love to hear from you. Well, that's our update for COVID-19 today. We'll see you back here tomorrow as Rhiannon Chutanich brings you the latest, including what to do and not to do when deep frying a turkey for Thanksgiving. Be safe, stay healthy, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.